Alex.
Hey, Andrew.
What's this?
This is Brains on the Outside.
And I think I've heard of that, but can you remind me, what is Brains on the Outside?
Brains on the Outside is a podcast that goes in your ears. You know, one of those that goes in your ears that tells you things. This one tells you funny business ideas.
That sounds excellent. What sort of funny business ideas?
Well, things like, what if instead of Google Maps, we had Google Treasure Maps, and every time you wanted to go anywhere, it was like a mega adventure that took you all over the place to visit a witch and then to go and dig up some buried treasure and then to get a map and then to Tesco's.
That took a really big turn in there with a lot of literal things you could actually do, and then also meet a witch.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do this hey bit every week, and I still love it.
Yeah, I enjoy it very much.
I've got a business idea for us this week.
Ooh.
As well. This happens every week, but I have another one, thankfully, so the show can keep going. But I haven't actually come up with it. I've taken it from somewhere else, and I thought we could just discuss it because it's a pretty brains on the outside idea, I think.
Okay, brilliant. I'm excited.
So I'm reading this book called Speculative Everything. It's about designing weird products, and the gist of it is they design things by imagining a future parallel world where everything is different. So instead of designing something for today's world, where you're bound by limitations of today's world, they design things for this future world. And I was reading through, and some of the ideas they come up with, because they're so unbound by logic and reasoning and standards for selling stuff, they end up designing weird things that might fit on this podcast.
My mind is already blown by this whole concept.
So the book's really good, but sometimes it gets a bit thinky for me, you know, like they're just talking about criticism of their theoretical ideas, and I'm like, oh no, this is too much. But there was one idea in here that I thought was pretty good, and it was like this prototype restaurant someone set up in Amsterdam called the Food Facility, and I thought it could be pushed into a really excellent place where we could make a lot of money from it.
The Food Facility.
The Food
Wow,
Facility.
That's almost as unappetizing as the restaurant in Durham called the Food Pit.
So the Food Pit in Durham, you go, right? And there's like 6 food trucks there. You're inside. Yeah. Food trucks, though, is kind of overselling it. It's kind of bad food. That's what they are. There's 6 places where you can get 6 different types of bad food, and you sit down and eat there. So it kind of means you don't have to make that choice of where do I want to eat tonight, because you can go to the food pit if you're so inclined, and in that pit you can find lots of different types of food. The Food Facility actually runs on a kind of a similar premise.
Okay.
Where you go to the Food Facility, and instead of there being a menu, you just order stuff from local takeaways.
So it's just a dining hall where you can get Deliveroo delivered to it. Is that what it is?
Effectively, yes. It was in 2005, so I think we're in a pre-Deliveroo society.
Was this a real place?
I think it was more like a performance space idea. This wasn't a real functioning business, I don't think.
The thing about this is that I could entirely imagine, like the way that Uber has reinvented the bus several times over, I could imagine Deliveroo reinventing the restaurant for times when you don't want to get stuff delivered to your house. Do you not? You want to eat takeaway, but you don't want to eat at home. Here's the place where you can go.
Sometimes it's nice.
The dining room, the Deliveroom. The Deliveroom.
Oh, that's actually really good. Because, sometimes you want to sit in a public space with your friends and eat food. You don't want to be in your own living room. Tech bros love inventing things that already exist, you know?
They do. I can see a lot of ways in which this would play out as well. And I can see the tweets about it as well. And it's like, come to the Deliveroom. And then you go to the Deliveroom and it's actually made up like someone else's living room. Different places. You go and sit on a beanbag in someone else's living room with your friends and eat. Chinese food.
Also, you
Amazing.
imagine you are leaving your living room and going to
Yeah.
a fake other living room. It's not a fancy restaurant.
So it could be anything, couldn't it? Like it could be any. You're right. I mean, it could be. I like the idea that it's just made up like someone else's living room. So like, I'm bored of my own living room and I want to eat takeaway food. I'm just going to go and sit in someone else's living room and
So
eat takeaway food.
in that scenario, is there still 30 other people around you, or do you get a living room to yourself with your friends?
No, I think it's like, I, I think it's like lots of living rooms. Like it's like being in IKEA. In fact, this is what you could do with
Oh my
IKEA
god,
out of
yeah.
hours. You turn it into the deliver room. You just go and sit in an IKEA thing.
That's real swish. That's sort of brand synergy as well.
Oh yeah.
IKEA's gonna love that.
I actually think you could do that as a marketing thing for them. Like you could actually go to IKEA and Deliveroo, but like IKEA X Deliveroo, you get Deliveroo food to your IKEA, to your IKEA showroom, and hang out in it and eat food with your friends. Oh yeah,
Eventually, you spend enough time hanging out in that IKEA showroom eating food, you go back to your own living room, and obviously it's not quite as fun because you aren't eating takeaway food, your friends aren't there, and you're going to start thinking, maybe if I owned that Kallax,
yeah.
my living room would feel like that fun living room I was in.
Yeah.
And they'll go back there during 9 to 5 when you can actually buy normal stuff. Just generally, though, I think there's a lot of benefits to the system of going somewhere and ordering takeaway food. There's no more discussion about which restaurant you want to go to because you just go to the IKEA deliver room,
Yeah,
and order whatever you want.
And because maybe everyone turns up all at the same time. If your group of friends wants to order from 5 different places, you're not going to pay 5 different places delivery fees because actually there's probably 30 other people in the room who also want to order from each of those 5 places. So you're batching it up. So you're going to get better discounts. Like every order is like, oh, if you order from the Lucky Dragon and you spend 25 quid, you're going to get free prawn crackers. And if you spend 35 quid, you're going to get free spring rolls. Well, everyone's getting free prawn crackers and free spring rolls because the 30 people in the room who are ordering from the Lucky Dragon today guarantees that. So, and then if you run the delivery room, you're also collecting all of the takeaway boxes, the containers afterwards as well. And you can sell them back to the restaurants. You can flip them back. There's a lot to this, Andrew.
I'm trying to imagine the experience. Me and you, we get to the delivery room. Maybe it's in a, IKEA after closing. Is there like a waiter there to take our order? Does he come with a menu, effectively an iPad, with basically Deliveroo on it, and ask what we want? Then he goes away and orders it, or are we in charge of ordering? Is there, in some sense, a kitchen at the back where everything gets delivered to and decanted onto plates and taken out to us?
Oh.
Or are we expected to go outside and get it ourselves? Is this a communal place to eat takeaway, or is this a restaurant that has everything in it?
Now, you did mention earlier that this could be a fancy restaurant, and now you've put it this way, I'm kind of on board with this. As I go to the delivery room fancy restaurant, I get all dressed up. I go there. There is a waitress, a waiter. There is a kitchen that my food's going to be delivered out on. It's silver service. It's really high end. And then I get my chicken chow mein on the plate. It's really artistically arranged as well. Very beautiful.
Well, I guess some brands still have like their expensive version and the cheaper version. So there could be the delivery room for your mates, which is reusing IKEA furniture, or it's actually it's either in IKEA or IKEA Reserve, and then there is the standalone restaurant they build where you show up and the waiter has to go order takeaway for you. I don't really know. There's also
Yeah,
the
so you've
second layer of obfuscation away from actually paying the person who is making you food. Because now the Deliveroo driver picks up the food, gives it to somebody else, who then picks it up and gives it to you.
we're making more jobs for this bad economy, so that's important.
Oh yeah, no,
Like,
no, no. Sorry, yeah, that was senseless of me to, in this tough economic times, to imply that adding another chain here was a bad idea.
yeah, exactly. In fact, actually, we want to be adding as many layers deep as possible to this,
Oh,
and creating as many. This experience should be so supremely good that people really want to pay for it, and we can hire a lot of people to help with all the silver service waiting of tables and everything else. Really generating jobs in this economy is important.
okay, so now we have a few goals here, a few KPIs to be measured on, and one is just maximum employment for
Yeah,
anything, making this as elaborate and complicated as possible. Now, I think that's going to necessitate someone else taking your order, because the
definitely.
values of the food is going to need to be sort of obfuscated from you, because otherwise you're going to be like, I can get a Domino's pizza for $10.99 at home. Why am I paying £29 here? But it's because we have 500 staff for this restaurant every night to run it.
But as we both know, Andrew, if you order Domino's from a business, you get that sweet, sweet business discount.
Holy crap! This is coming together pretty nicely.
This is B2B to C.
B to B to C. It's actually great. Inventing acronyms is great. There's something right making this viable. Well, what you do is you wouldn't have the full range of Deliveroo. You'd have like a sub range. You'd have like Domino's and Zizzy's, McDonald's, and you'd just be like, yeah, in the course of a year, I promise I'll bulk order this much. Get the rates chopped right down for you.
Yep.
Get Ikea to furnish it. That's excellent. Drag them in, help the economy of Sweden a little bit, and get that B to B to C going.
Yeah. I think this actually has actual legs.
I do like the vibe. I think the vibe of your original Deliveroo idea was really great. But I could see that being more like you're going to Central Park from friends.
Yeah.
Once this idea of the restaurant is established, once we've tech broed restaurants, then the spin-off ones can be like, oh, you could eat at Central Park. You could eat at Jerry Seinfeld's house.
It's really funny that you said Central Park, because that's exactly where my brain went as soon as we started talking about this. I was like, yeah, there's, eating in a celebrity or a TV show living room. That's a really nice idea as well. Yeah.
Now, I might do something controversial. We've been very bullish on this idea. Maybe we need to put ourselves in a more skeptical position. Maybe can we both think of a real problem with this idea and we'll try and solve it?
Are you going inside brain?
I'm going inside. I'm going brains. This is brains on the inside.
Oh, okay.
The quote of better podcast is a podcast within a podcast.
This is a critical podcast within a podcast.
Yes.
Bringing us back down to earth. Bringing us back to the ground.
I'm doing this partly because I feel we actually almost have a viable idea we could take to Deliveroo. And I just want to get it in front of the criticism. Now, it's hard for me because I can't think of a bad idea about this. But can you think of a reason this might not work?
Well, Andrew, now, if...
I hate this for you. I hate this tone you're taking. A sensible inside tone, but go on.
Andrew, as a man in my 40s who constantly spills food down himself, as we have previously discussed on this podcast,
you're very messy.
I would be deeply worried eating spicy barbecue ribs while sitting on somebody else's IKEA furniture in an IKEA recreation of Monica and Rachel's house from Friends, because I would fear that I would drop all sorts of gravies, sauces, stickiness, sweetness, everything onto Monica's pristine sofa.
Is this a fear specifically related to Monica from Friends, or like when you go to a normal restaurant, do you fear this as well?
At a normal restaurant, I don't fear it as much because if I spill stuff on the table, they'll just clean the tablecloth. But if I'm sitting in someone else's lounge eating, greasy takeaway food, I'm constantly on high alert that I'm going to drop something or spill something or knock something over or drip it onto the bright cream carpet that I'm currently standing on.
So what I would tell the investors if they came to this with me is that to have accomplished that level of anxiety in somebody, we would have had to make, it sounds like, a really relaxing and nice environment, because your fear here is that you're going to view it subconsciously as your friend's place, like as your own place that you don't want to wreck.
That's true.
In some sense, maybe this is a positive. We've created like a place you respect, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I could see that being a good bit of spin. Now, I have just thought of another problem with this as well.
Okay.
Imagine that you have a warehouse, an IKEA warehouse that has got 30 different living rooms in it. Right. Or in fact, a high-end restaurant that has 100 covers, right?
Yep.
If you have 100 Deliveroo bikes turning up for 3 individual courses at the back, you're going to have to put this somewhere where you essentially have a docking bay outside for Deliveroo.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a real problem, actually. This is a hard one to solve. You can't spin this one away.
Yeah.
How do we solve this? Well, I almost said something silly, which was, why don't we just cook the food on premises? That's a bad idea. Ignore that. That's a stupid suggestion. Well, one, can go back to the point of it's great for Deliveroo drivers, creating more jobs. Maybe it is actually just we need to build this in docking bays.
Well, hang on. I think I might have just solved my own problem.
Okay,
I think you actually came very close to solving my own problem as well. So a lot of takeaway restaurants on Deliveroo are not actually restaurants these days. They are like containers or kitchens in old buildings that have been rented or bought by companies that want to set up delivery food services, right? Shadow kitchens, they get called. What if our warehouse, the middle of the warehouse, 30 living rooms, and a high-end restaurant. All around the edge of the warehouse, shadow kitchens. So when you order from the Deliveroo, actually the food isn't getting Deliveroomed from a faraway kitchen. Most of the time it's coming from inside the building.
It's inside the building already.
It's already inside the building most of the time. So like inside one of the shadow kitchens, when they get an order in, they're like, oh, is this a Deliveroom order? It goes out the back door straight into the room, into the kitchen, into the delivery room. Or is it a home order, in which case it goes out the front door and straight out of the building?
This is an interesting solution, which is on a macro scale. It's careful. The delivery room has been incredibly carefully placed in the city to be at the exact middle point of all the good restaurants. And this is the next step, which is just build the restaurants around the delivery room.
Yeah. Now, actually, you can spin this even further, because if you think about it as an IKEA, right? Mm-hmm. Actually, all it is the restaurant, the delivery room, is just the lounge parts of the IKEA. That is actually just the showrooms for showing you what the lounges are like. And the shadow kitchens are actually, during the day, they're just the kitchen bits. That's the kitchen bit of IKEA.
I I'm going to argue we've actually created two businesses here. We've created the Deliveroom, which is the takeaway restaurant. And also, we have gone through a long path here. But what we've actually said is, why don't you just open Ikea at night as a restaurant? You have all the kit there.
Yeah.
Why aren't you using it?
And as a hotel as well. Why is Ikea not also a hotel?
That's a really interesting. You could do a lot of living in Ikea. At 5 o'clock, it should shut and just be a hotel.
Yeah.
They don't have. This works both ways. There's not a bar in Ikea. You can't get. Well, there is actually a bar in Ikea, right? You can't buy alcohol, but that's a small fix you could do to make that work.
Yeah.
Gym. There's usually a gym in a hotel, but this is good because now this is pushing daytime IKEA into a new market. You add a gym to the hotel section, it now means you're selling gym equipment during the day.
You get a pool in there as well.
Now you sell pool toys during the day.
I think there's a lot you could do with IKEA, with the space of IKEA after hours.
We went into the Brains on the Inside episode with the best of intentions, and we really fucked it up.
I don't think we did. I think it worked perfectly. We went inside brain, and our inside brain was like, "No, this is a good idea.
This is a good idea." Now, I feel we've ended that with two ideas. We've refined the Deliveroom to a crispy, amazing point, which I think Deliveroo should be made aware of, and we have created multi-using IKEA, which is excellent.
Yeah, exactly. IKEA is so useless outside of shopping hours, so it's just such a waste of space.
If one of our listeners, Alex, had an idea what they could do with an IKEA after hours, how could they let us know?
Andrew, the best way to get in contact with us to do something like that would be via our email, which is brainsontheoutside@gmail.com.
Yes, exactly. And if they get in touch with that or any business idea they have, we will send you a bunch of stickers.
We really, truly will. Yeah. And if you want to do one more thing for us, the best possible thing that you could do outside of sending us a business idea is just tell your friends about the show.
That'd be absolutely incredible. Is actually the best thing. Shows like ours, the way people find out about them is through word of mouth. So telling your friends, posting about it on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever would mean so much to us.
We would truly love that. Andrew, have you got one final idea for us?
I do. So, Alex, you know how they sometimes pump the smell of freshly baked bread in the supermarkets to make you buy bread?
Yeah.
Why don't you pump the smell of McDonald's outside of clubs at 2 a.m. to make people want to go to McDonald's? Keep your brain on the outside.
Keep your brain on the outside, man.